influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Iteris, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your Black.
First things first.
Things first, it's the DU General, Money B. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not too unsettling. Let's go. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune to KBLA 1580 to get the mess. We're your ancestors' favorite radio station. First Black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tight, smiling, making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted Black and Brown and others find unity. So let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
First things first.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is called First Things First, and my first thing today and every day, giving thanks, giving praises, asking for blessings from God, asking for the blessings of the ancestors and the elders, and getting it started. Yep, I'm back in Leimert Park, Africa Town, USA. We hurried back because of the crazy things the Supreme Court of the United States of America is doing. I figured you might want or need to unpack it. Typically, hour one, we look local to the left coast. Hour two, we go national, international, and beyond. And in the third hour, we do a deep dive with a person of interest. Well, we had it planned and lined up just like that today, but because of the way things are going in Washington, D.C., felt like we needed to address the future of our country. The national is the local. It certainly will impact the entire United States. Okay, so I've been broadcasting from Kenya, East Africa, and I still have a little bit more that I'll share with you about that. But while we were gone, me and Miles, and 44 other people that you may or may not know, mostly Black folks, we had a bit of a mix this time. What the hell happened? I can't leave your Supreme Court alone for 5 minutes. And really, yesterday's decision concerning, or the decision that was released yesterday concerning the President of the United States having immunity for so-called official acts while they're in office is stunning. In a year of stunning decisions, in a couple years of stunning decisions, I keep being amazed. I have borrowed the term extreme court from my dad, and now even CNN is using that term. When CNN catches up to Dominique Baraka, things are going very badly for our country. There are good things. I always talk about the state, the local, the micro, local, county, all those things. There's good leadership emerging. There's incredible momentum around reparations. But when you look to Washington, though, wow. Yeah, so basically, we have to see how this plays out. I've put out an APB for attorneys, see if we can get someone on the line, because now whether we are overreacting to this decision, which I highly doubt, or not, it's a get out of court free card for Trump, because I mean, in basically what they're requiring is go back over all of these charges, and determine which ones are official duties and which ones are not. It's a joke. It's amazing how corrupt these folks are. It just makes my head explode. They're corrupt enough to what last week they ruled that bribery is okay as long as it's a tip and not a bribe. Like if you give it after the person does you the favor, do me this favor and I'll pay you. As long as I don't pay you before I make the decision, it doesn't count as a bribe, apparently, according to the Supreme Court. So they've actually pre-inoculated themselves from a lot of the type of corruption they're doing. I guess Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito will have to wait. Justice Roberts will have to wait until after they rule on something that's before one of these billionaires, and then they can accept the RV or fancy vacations or private jet flights. Because if you just Google it, it's not just Clarence Thomas. Thomas is the most egregious, the most extreme in terms of his bribe taking. But Alito and Chief Justice Roberts have a few private jet trips and such of their own. Never mind the fact that this impacts, potentially impacts the president, the former president's actions around the attempted coup that was January 6th. And so those two should have recused themselves. Mr. Samuel Upside Down Flag Alito and Clarence I'm married to the mob Thomas should have definitely recused themselves from both from this case and the obstruction of justice case, and probably a few others. Doesn't mean the end of the American experiment, as they say. Does it mean that, we've already been veering into oligarchy and authoritarianism, moving away from the principles, the things we like about our Constitution, the things that make me and probably you, Team Stay and Fight. And it's worth noting that Republicans, and really not just Republicans, because it's really the sort of new confederate MAGA extremist group, they are banking on the fact that Democrats are not extremists, that Democrats are probably, in their words, punks or snowflakes, because they've handed this immunity decision down several months before the election. So in theory, Joe Biden could do anything he wanted to now and be above the law. In theory, it's not just Trump, should he be elected in November, but whoever has the presidency is now pretty much an emperor. And so they're banking on the fact that Joe Biden won't act as Emperor Biden. And so they can make this decision now and just bide their time until Donald J. Trump gets into office, and then he can do whatever he wants as laid out in Project 2025 and beyond. And make no mistake, if the president, this president, and by this president I mean 45, if he has immunity and he's calling it a win, he's crowing about the big win that he's had, and he's already told you that he believes police officers in this country should have immunity, meaning they could shoot you, beat you up, rape you, violate your civil rights, whatever's left of them, your constitutional rights, with no penalty, no accountability. He's told you that's what he thinks should happen. He's celebrating his own immunity. Now watch and see what happens should he get elected. I agree with Joy Reid. I'll vote for Biden even if it's his brain in a jar. So basically, what you're telling us is if you're feeling like he's not competent based on that recent debate, that you're voting for Kamala Harris. And as I've said, and I'll say it again, President Harris would be a better president than Trump or Biden or Buttigieg or Nikki Haley or name that Republican. Oh, yes, I digress. We got a lot going on today. We'll meet a man from Zanzibar, is a former government official there, who we talked with, but we were having technical difficulties, and just who opened up our eyes and opened up the world in East Africa. We'll also be speaking with Craig DeLuce, one of our Republican colleagues who is part of Project 2021, which is, of course, the Black Republican pod. And I'm sure he'll have a lot to say about the Supreme Court ruling. And I should say rulings. We've talked a little bit about the criminalization of the unhoused. Now it's illegal to sleep on the street, but legal to take a bribe as long as you take it after you've done said action, and then it becomes a tip. Now it's illegal to sleep on the streets, but also legal for corporations to do whatever they want unregulated, because government agencies have lost much of their regulatory power in the past week. Now it's illegal to sleep on the streets or be unhoused, but apparently also illegal for a woman to get life-saving care. It seems like very, and I'm not a doom and gloom type lady. I'm thinking, how do we get out of this? Well, and that's why I said these Confederates are banking on us not having the audacity, the cojones, whatever you want to call it, to turn this on its head. Okay, presidents have immunity. Start doing everything by executive order. I now proclaim a study on reparations. I now proclaim the assembling of a commission on reparations. I now have added Supreme Court justices. Why not make it 11? And I'll appoint 2 to even out the court. I now proclaim that, we are going to give people who are incarcerated their right to vote back tomorrow. There's nothing that says that while you do your time you can't vote. By executive order, I proclaim that tomorrow. I now proclaim Puerto Rico and Washington, D.C. states of the Union. Ha! There goes your slim Republican majority. And I'm going to go ahead and appoint senators and congresspeople to those 2 states. Whoops! Now Democrats have the majority in the Congress. Ooh, they better be glad I'm not the president. You give me immunity? Immunity while doing official acts in office? There's a whole lot of things we can do. Restore the child tax credit. If I'm a king, I'm going to be a king. July, August, September, October. You can do a lot of damage in 4 months. But Republicans are counting on the decency and or ethical compass of Republicans to save them. And it's really not to save them, it's to doom America. We've got Fred calling from the Crenshaw District. Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Sister Dominique. Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate it. Anyway, this stupid decision by the Supreme Court needs to be a wake-up call for all of us voters. If we allow that jackass to get back in office November 5th, that is going to be a shame. I retired from the county after 25 years. I may have to go back to work. No, I'm not lazy and not like that, but the thing, he wants to revamp the Civil Service Commission. It's going to be worse than nightmare on Elm Street. He don't care about nobody. He only cares about himself. Did you see the debate last Thursday?
I did. And
Yeah,
by the way,
okay,
it was at 3:00 in the morning in Zanzibar, so I was struggling to stay awake. Yep.
That's what I'm saying. Right. So, because Channel 7 did a very, very good view on the, I think they did a good report. But the thing about it, I don't know, maybe you can answer this for me. Why couldn't Joe Biden talk about Trump's 34 convictions? He said the election is rigged. It's not rigged. It was fair and square. But like I said, we get this fool back in office, pardon my expression, we're all screwed. So I'm going with Biden, and now it's going to be very interesting to see who is Trump going to pick for his VP. Did you hear down the three people? I think Governor Boardman, whatever his name is, J.D. Vance, and Marco Rubio. I think Kamala Harris, whoever Trump picks, she can mop the floor with him. A friend of mine said he heard, I don't know from where, that Donald Trump does not plan to participate in the next debate, be September 10th. You don't know what state that they're supposed to meet in, do you?
I do not, and I agree with your friend. I doubt that Trump will agree to do that. Now that he feels he's won the first one, he's probably going to want to leave it there. And why couldn't Biden say that? I mean, it seemed like he was having a bad day. He was, I don't know if he was having multiple senior moments. If he was tired, they said he had a cold. You need to be able to be the president while you have a cold. But I think a lot of people have made the point that everyone, including the New York Times, is calling on Biden to drop out of the race because he had a bad debate. But they're not calling on Trump to drop out of the race after being convicted of 34 felonies. I do see something wrong with that. Sort of logic, it's kind of doesn't make sense. We're stuck with these two nominees, I believe. I don't think the Dems are going to make a decision, and I'm hoping that this extreme court decision will wake some folks up. It certainly seems to the national humiliation of a bad debate, along with the extreme court decisions, does seem to have awakened Mr. Biden last night. He sounded focused and fiery. And hopefully that is just an indication of more to come. Continuing the conversation, Fred called me at 800-920-1580. You can do the same. We are unapologetically progressive, unapologetically constitutional, KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
What if the conversation about menopause and bladder leaks didn't have to be a secret? Always Discreet helps you embrace this new chapter with confidence, offering a bladder leak solution that keeps you worry-free. Its rapid dry core quickly locks away even the biggest gushes with up to 0 leaks, 0 wet feel, and 0 odor. So you can jump, dance, sneeze, and laugh uninterrupted. Everyday protection for every level of leak. We've got you. Always. Try Always Discreet today.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it cannot happen without you.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with 0 experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice and injustice, the courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities and sports figures, elected leaders and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
When you get nachos, tacos, empanadas, spicy queso with jalapenos, Pepto-Bismol's there. Pepto-Bismol provides fast, effective relief from nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, and diarrhea. All the things that can happen unexpectedly on vacation. So before you travel, pack the Pepto. Pepto-Bismol.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Go to hims.com/joy. Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to hims.com/joy. That's HIMS.com/JOY.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
So, yeah, it's a rough way to come back from from Kenya and Tanzania, but we are back broadcasting live in the studio at Lamert Park, Africa Town, USA. Love to hear from you. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. How are you taking this? How are you taking it in? That's really what I want to know. What is the future of our country looking like? Are we going through a rough patch, but we're going to be all right? We're going to look back at this as like another Dred Scott decision, really a series of Dred Scott decisions if you consider the rulings on bribery, obstruction of justice, houselessness, and the one that will impact our government agencies, basically leaving consumers naked and unprotected. Are we just going through a rough patch where we'll look back and say, wow, this shamelessly activist and unregulated Supreme Court put America into a bad period, or is it the beginning of the end? The rise of the authoritarian dictatorship. It feels like that. I hope that it's not that. I hope that we will rebuke this move with our election, our upcoming election. Let's go to Mike calling us from LA. Hi, Mike.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm blessed. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say I'm black. For us black folks, we have a very important choice to make out of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. The guy Joe Biden won't even give a press conference. He will not even take no questions from the audience for the whole 3 years he's been in office. He's a troubled debater.
That's actually not true. He has taken questions during the 3 years he's been in office.
The guy out of 3 years won't even do nothing.
Well, but Trump, I mean, just to be clear in terms of fact-checking, Mike, he has done press conferences. You know.
The guy won't even take no questions, but...
He does. I mean, I get that you're saying he hasn't done one in the last few days. I get that. Maybe you want, that. But the fact, unlike CNN, I try to fact-check in real time. Sometimes it's hard, but I do the best I can without a crew of researchers in my ear like those CNN anchors have. But in any case, your point is, I know from just the sound of your voice and having heard it on previous calls that you're not a fan of Biden, but I also think you told me you weren't going to vote for Trump.
Can I talk?
Yeah, I just asked you a question. Are you going to vote for Trump?
I'm a black Republican. Why would I not vote for Trump? Joe Biden is the worst president we ever had.
Lots
the guy
of
don't even care
Republicans.
About first.
Lots of Republicans won't vote for Trump because he lies incessantly. Did you watch the debate?
You want to go for Joe Biden? We're not going to even have no country. The guy is the worst president we ever had. He haven't done not one thing for blacks.
Okay. Well, that's not the truth either, but off of him for a minute, let's talk about policy. Trump, if reelected, has said that police should have immunity. And as a black man, you're fine with that, with police being able to shoot black people and have no consequences? That works for you?
You won't never let me even talk.
I just asked you a question. Are you fine with police having total immunity?
No, if a police hurt someone and if it's their fault, they need to be in custody.
Okay, but he just told you he's not. He just told you
he
just. It would be 4, but he just told you that he wants police to have immunity. We know police shoot black people more than other people. You just said you're not okay with it. Why would you elect a guy that thinks police should have total carte blanche?
Can I answer your question?
I wish you would.
If we get this guy Joe Biden for 3 more years, we not going to have no country. This whole world is transitioning right before our eyes, and we sleep at the wheel.
What's it transitioning to?
This is the worst to a third world country, miss. The guy got the worst policies he got is in free wars. He don't go to a church and ask for a black vote? Come on now.
All politicians do that,
this guy don't even know what he... No, they don't. This guy is running our country into the ground.
No, politicians don't go to churches and ask for the black vote? You must not have been paying attention to politics very long.
This guy, Joe Biden, is the worst president we ever had, and he's a criminal at that.
Worst president? That would be the 45th. So you're fine. So you're fine with Clarence Thomas taking bribes from people who have business before the court? Not a problem for you.
I can answer your question.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Joe Biden had the worst debate. He's trying to switch the narrative to the Supreme Court. That's good they ruled in Donald Trump's favor.
Ooh, Lord help me. Okay, you're welcome to hold on and keep the talking points flying after news, traffic, and sports. You can call me like Mike did, 800-920-1580. We are KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Former President Trump is looking to have his New York hush money case thrown out, hours after the U.S. Supreme Court issued its landmark ruling about presidential immunity. Trump's lawyers filed a letter with the judge looking to set aside the recent guilty verdict, saying evidence was introduced that is now protected. The letter also asked for the July 11th sentencing to be delayed. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council is agreeing to give a large settlement to 2 college students. It was just over 4 years ago when the 2 were reportedly pulled from a car and tased during Black Lives Matter protests. They had since filed a civil lawsuit after charges were dropped against the officers involved. Atlanta's Public Safety Committee signed off on a resolution in June in support of a $2 million settlement, which the council approved yesterday. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each at Staples. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program. In-store only offer NC24, limit 20. Save big on back to school at Staples.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA sources claim LeBron made a phone call to Klay Thompson to ask him to consider signing with the Lakers as a free agent. Thompson appreciated LeBron's gesture, but he chose the Dallas Mavericks, ending a spectacular 13-year career with the Golden State Warriors. 4 NBA championships, 6 NBA finals, 5 All-Star appearances, and 1 3-point shooting title during All-Star Weekend in 2016. The 34-year-old Thompson, son of Lakers radio analyst Michael Thompson, would have looked good in a Lakers uniform. Thompson signed a 3-year deal with Dallas worth $50 million. Apparently, Thompson thought his chances of competing for an NBA title are better with Dallas. At age 27, Simone Biles will be the oldest member of the U.S. Olympic women's gymnastics team. Biles qualified for her 3rd Olympics. She has a combined 7 medals in the first 2. 4 of the medals are gold. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs.
Picking up Oscar.
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
When you turn to the Employment Development Department, we'll help you get there. Whether it's support for you and your family while you find a new job, or the resources to focus on your recovery after illness or injury, we can help you move forward. From support while you bond with your newborn, to helping serve your family while your partner serves our country. Your EDD. We'll help you get there. For more information, visit edd.ca.gov.
Help prevent gun violence tragedies. Gun violence restraining orders can help to prevent individuals at risk of harming themselves or others by removing their guns for 21 days up to 5 years. Learn more about how to petition for a GVRO and the role of GVROs in safeguarding communities by visiting lacountygvro.org or by calling 1-833-540-0473. GVROs can save lives.
Chevy Radio 30 before and after, code GWMR0254000.
With the incredibly spacious 3-row Chevy Traverse, you can change
Let's just meet at the concert.
into
Why don't I pick all you guys up on the way?
the advanced safety engineered Chevy Blazer EV lets you turn
You think we should turn back?
into
Full steam ahead.
And with the affordable Equinox EV,
Keep an eye out for the next Charger, kids.
becomes
Get comfortable, kids. We'll be home in 4 hours.
for summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Texting enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh yeah, the key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text LION to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text LION to 42424. That's LION to 42424.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you indeed. And you can call me now. We're live and we are in Lamert Park, Africatown, USA, 800-920-1580. It is a Talking Point Tuesday, so the talking points are flying. And Mike, who sounds a lot like someone else who sometimes calls this show, is really, he really has a whole bunch of talking points. Among them, he says Joe Biden is the worst president ever. Based on what? Like, what's your metrics? Certainly, the economy is doing well. Black unemployment is at the lowest levels ever in the history of the world. Inflation is a problem, but that's worldwide and not controlled by presidents. Biden has passed a bipartisan infrastructure package, which we're barely beginning to see the impact of, which will fix our roads and bridges, will help with the greening of our infrastructure nationwide, including, places like Texas, where we've seen those terrible power outages causing people all kinds of harm to their health. Right now in Los Angeles, we're looking at a super heat wave where we're actually facing the endangering of the lives of seniors and other vulnerable populations due to heat, and this infrastructure package will help with that. He has ended the war in Afghanistan, albeit it was messy, but war is messy, and it was never going to just be simply smooth to shut it down, especially after Donald Trump made these terrible deals with the Taliban and signaled to them what we were going to do before we did it, leaving Biden to have to honor the bad deal, the art of the bad deal that Trump did in Afghanistan, and a black Supreme Court justice, an African American and well qualified one at that, a well qualified vice president who could run circles around anyone he'll choose as VP or him in a debate. I wish Kamala Harris could debate Donald Trump, but that's not how the rules go. And as Democrats, we have this pesky problem of following the rules. So what is your basis for saying he's the worst vice president and the worst president ever? Managed to pass the child tax credit, even though they weren't able to sustain it due to Republican opposition. And I could go on and on. Has managed to cancel student loan debt. In fact, King Biden, Emperor Biden, thank you, Supreme Court, should just go ahead and unilaterally cancel all student loan debt. Oh, but that's not legal, says the U.S. Supreme Court. Oh, wait, it's an official act of office, so now he should be able to do it. Why, Mike? Give me your metric, your criteria, not just the talking point.
Okay, thank God for the Supreme Court. Is it right for Joe Biden, when he wasn't even a president, to have classified information? He was only a senator.
All
but
vice
now
presidents.
He was the president.
That's normal.
So is it fair for Donald Trump to get charged, and then Joe Biden don't get charged when his son was on a Motisma board in Ukraine, getting millions of dollars? I encourage you to look at Fox News Political. The reporters is crying. This guy will not even take one answer for 3 years.
Mike.
He go off the teleprompter. The guy is the worst.
Mike, what is
black
Burisma?
people, and I'm black.
What is Burisma?
The board what his son was running over there in Ukraine.
The board of what?
Where he was getting millions of dollars. The energy company in Ukraine.
Oh, very good. You actually know what it is,
because
the way you fire off these talking points, it really seems like you don't even know what you're talking about.
Point Friday. But I encourage you to look at Fox News. The reporters be crying. The guy will not even take one question. And Joy Reid, she don't give a crap about blacks.
Okay. Thank you for playing, Mike. 800-920-1580. Wow. He made me want to use that famous Joe Biden cuss word, malarkey. Because that was a bunch of it. Okay, except he did get one thing right. Burisma is was a holding company for energy exploration and production companies. And Hunter Biden, who's currently being held accountable for his actions, even though they don't have anything to do with that per se, is facing actually disproportionate consequences for regular crackhead behavior. And try as they might, Republicans have not been able to connect the dots and come up with any legal exposure for Biden on this case, or they would have moved forward on it. So now it's just an empty talking point. But man almighty. Still didn't answer the question, Mike, about what your criteria was for rating someone the worst ever. We're going to go to Paul from L.A. Good morning, Paul.
Well, good morning, Dominique. How are you doing today? Welcome back, too.
Thank you.
I just, I heard a lot of that, and I just think it's just amazing. At the end of the day, are we going to talk about Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump and the money that they've gotten from foreign influence that's played a part in what's going on today in this country? We're not going to bring that up, though. But no, I just want us to focus on, when talking about the debates, the ticket is Biden-Harris. That's what the primaries are for. In the primaries, Biden was actually got between high 80s to 90% of the Democratic voters. So the voters have spoken. That's what a democracy is. On the other end of the spectrum, Trump, as a quote-unquote incumbent, was getting in the 50s and 60s. See, what's happening is, and this is why that debate was amazing, because What they allowed is a bunch of lies and no moderation to know that's a lie.
Yep.
That man just literally said that they're doing abortions 3 days after the baby is born. And that was all because his thing is to throw him off. So what he was trying to do is, I got to correct, that's a lie. No, here's the fact. But in reality, at the end of the day, Trump base is shrinking. It's not growing. So the goal is, if you go back to 2016, Hillary won by 5 million more of the popular vote. But in reality, Trump won by 70,000 in the swing states because of the Electoral College. In 2020, Biden won by 8 million more of the popular vote. But in the swing states, he technically only won by 40,000. So the goal is to depress the vote. At the end of the day, the ticket is Biden-Harris. The real outcry is because they're afraid if he doesn't make it through his term, that black woman is going to be president, and nobody wants to talk about the biggest elephant in the room.
I think that's right. That's why I keep saying, Paul, that so what you're saying is I'm voting for Kamala Harris, and I have no problem with that. I know there's a lot of us who consider themselves progressives who have taken on the talking points about Kamala Harris. And, she jailed all these black men. Well, she was a prosecutor. Prosecutors prosecute. But if you really do a deep dive on her policies in San Francisco, as DA, there was actually some really good progressive stuff there. If you look at what she did as both Attorney General and Senator, there's some really good stuff there. She's to the left of Obama, who is a centrist. So I don't, I think that's misogyny. I think it's the success of the talking points against her, saying she's not black because some guy on Twitter gets to be the arbiter of who's black and who's not. I think it's anti-black woman sentiment, which is an all-time greatest hit in this country, being turned on itself to where people think they're being pro-black by saying she's not black enough, but actually they're leaning into anti-blackness while doing it. And a number of other things. I think that's spot on. And a bunch of other stuff you said is important. I mean, Trump should have been busted for emoluments, for profiting off the presidency. But now, I guess that profiting off the presidency could be an official duty somehow. He should have been busted and disqualified for Trump University for ripping people off and stealing their life savings, claiming he was going to teach them how to be rich, which was just another scam. And exactly. we can go on. And then you talk about Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, not to mention the daughter, right, Ivanka, who got licensing in China because she was the president's daughter, worth billions of dollars. So those talking points, but okay, so I guess this will be a question for you. When you talk with someone like, air quotes, Mike, who just called in, he obviously doesn't care about the facts. He's stuck on talking points. How do you deal with that? Like, how do we get through to people? A lot of us have boyfriends or family members or friends that are on that page. I know people that I would normally consider pretty conscious who are saying, well, Trump let people out of jail, the First Step Act, which he didn't even originate. And yes, he did after, the Obama administration got it started. But he's talking about letting cops kill you on sight with immunity. So letting a few people out of jail is not enough reason to vote for someone who's already told you he's going to do something with Social Security and it won't help black elders.
You answered it. You answered it right there. When because I talk to these people in the streets. I talk to these brothers in the streets that I've grown up with.
Right.
When I talk to them, now, mind you, you're never going to bat 1,000. At some point, you got to know when to abandon ship, right?
Right.
But also, I start locally. Sometimes people are so focused on the executive branch and the president that they're missing why Donald Trump is such a perfect puppet for them. He's basically a distraction. He's a symptom of the problem. While when you pay attention to the Heritage Foundation, me and you talk about this in the Heritage in the Federalist, he's perfect for them because while everybody's eyes are on what he's saying and what he's doing, they're implementing their game plan. And sometimes when I say, well, okay, well, you don't care about that, but you care about these potholes in the street, right? You care about when you drive down Figueroa. You care about those sisters that have grown, that the foster care system has failed, that these businesses around here are monetizing. You care about that, right? You care about when you drive down Vermont and the lights are out. You care about that, right? Then you need to make sure that you're showing up. Your local and state matter just as much. Governors, like the president, also nominate judges. See, we don't pay attention to that, and a lot of this is transpiring. Is you can legislate all you want to, but if you don't understand the significance of the courts upholding the law, our greatest civil rights movements and the greatest accomplishments, which in turn benefited the country, in some ways you would argue more than it benefited us as black people.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
So when you understand it, but why that happened is because the courts. So what they understood is what the Leonard Leos, and I implore people to understand Project 2025, because I tell people, yeah, you're going to care, because in Project 2025 they're talking about cutting your overtime pay. So just know you're going to be working for free. They're lowering ages of marriage ages. They're lowering worker ages. So where do you think that that's going to directly impact? They're cutting Social Security and Medicare. Who do you think that directly impacts? They want to fire 50,000 federal government workers. Who do you think that's going to impact? So if you, quote unquote, are this black person that cares about black people, then you need to focus on what directly impacts our people. And I start there with them. Start locally and stateside, and understand the president is, I directly vote the president for policies and judges. Policies and judges. And for those that push for reparations, you're going to understand that even more, because there are already states that are predominantly Republican that are pushing bills through to block the reparation movement.
Yeah, well, I know it went down to defeat in Tennessee. Texas still, working on it. And you're right, and all of that spreads a lot more quickly with a second Trump term, and all of it spreads a lot more quickly as he continues to consolidate power as an emperor or a king. And as you point out, if we didn't know the importance of judges before, the last couple of years must have driven that home, and not just with the Supreme Court, with some of these state rulings on, women's health and beyond. Paul, you're welcome to continue with me when we come forward. And he called 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. You're invited to do the same. This is not just a wake-up call. I think we've pressed the snooze button 5 or 10 times. It's time to get on up and save America. KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Chevy Radio 30 before and after, code GWMR0254000.
With the incredibly spacious 3-row Chevy Traverse, you can change
Let's just meet at the concert
into
Why don't I pick all you guys up on the way?
the advanced safety engineered Chevy Blazer EV lets you turn
You think we should turn back?
into
Full steam ahead.
And with the affordable Equinox EV,
Keep an eye out for the next charger, kids.
becomes
Get comfortable, kids. We'll be home in 4 hours.
for summer adventures, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Hey LA, today I'm here to talk to you about Grid Alternatives, which is a nonprofit in LA that focuses on renewable energy. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We offer paid job training, and in 13 weeks, you can become a solar installer. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry, and once you're hired in the industry, you stop at a high, medium income. That could be $20 an hour or more. 80% of our graduates get hired into the industry. Call today so you don't be left out at 323-861 888-978-0105 or gridalternatives.org, gridalternatives.org.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 Gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 Gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904p $20 Gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
Find what you love, love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. All kinds of beers and thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine and More. Drink responsibly. B21.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate meets a scholarly match.
Okay, America, what's going on? I think Paul Lee made a bunch of really good points, and I want us to start paying attention to each other, especially on these Talking Point Tuesdays, because we're 4 months out, I think it is, and we have to be the messengers. Whatever your argument is. And maybe, like Paul said, is we're not going to bat 1,000. We're not going to be able to convince every Mike or every Terry or every, Craig DeLuz, who's coming on in the second half of next hour. But we have to get the ones we can. If you've got 4 family members that are leaning Confederate, that are being influenced by MAGA, and you can sway 2 of them, you've done a good thing. And right now, it's time for us to, I know it's early, this debate was earlier than they typically happen, and we get election fatigue, but this one, and it's a big one. I know you're tired of hearing the most important election of your lifetime. I'm tired of hearing it. And I'm glad, Paul, that Project 2025, you've been talking about it for a long time, and here on KBLA, particularly this show, First Things First, we've been talking about it for a long time. But it's starting to seep into the popular culture. I'm seeing TikToks, I'm seeing Instagrams, which is good because it means by the time we get to September, people will be at least familiar with the dangers of that. But we have to be the messengers. We have to be the messengers. If, the Democratic Party, their talking points are falling flat, if Biden is struggling in a debate or whatever the situation, we have to be the messengers. It's up to us to tell each other, talk to each other, not wait for politicians to go to churches, not wait until it's too late and we're stuck with having to overthrow a totalitarian dictatorship under one Donald Trump. This is laugh to keep from crying time, but it's also enlist yourself time. Molly Bell says, welcome home to me, Miles, and the Trailblazers, and we appreciate you, Molly Bell. Yes, we will connect offline. She's got a bunch of things to say, and I know that's right, because as a Biden supporter who's not voting for him based on the lesser of two evils, but on her understanding and admiration for his actual track record, that's someone we want to hear from. I think, to me, it's not about whether you love Trump or you love Biden. It's about policy. It's about policy. What is the impact? What is the real-time impact? And that's why Paul was going local. You can look at that and you can say, yeah, you got to vote for local leaders, but also those state and national lawmakers do impact who gets money for what projects, and where those dollars go, where they're cut. Trump was clowning Biden during the debate about Medicare, Medi-Cal, those kinds of cuts. Those impact regular people in your family on the street. It's not just a federal situation. I am very, very concerned about Social Security. The fact that he's now willing to admit in an election cycle that he's going to cut it. Because black people in particular, poor people in general, black people in particular, do not have retirement savings, rely on Social Security to eke out a meager existence. It's not a lot of money, folks. In LA, you could probably, if you're lucky, you can pay your rent with the Social Security check, maybe. Or you can rent a room from someone and at least afford your medicine and a few, some food. We're talking about, speaking of talking points, we're talking about defunding your mama, defunding your grandmama. That's not esoteric. It's real world impact. And if you're concerned about Gaza, well, be as mad at Biden as you want to, but understand where we're going with this. With another Trump presidency. And now, you talk about emboldened. I don't know how much more emboldened Donald Trump could get. He already was breaking the law right and left in office and getting away with it. Now you're telling him he has immunity while committing official acts, and you're going to leave it up to these judges who are trying to preside over his felony cases to slog through and decide what's an official act and what's not. It is a recipe for criminal activity in the White House. We're going to meet some great folks next hour. One of our Republican colleagues, I'll put colleagues in air quotes, and the Honorable Abdul Samad Abdul Rahim of Tanzania, Zanzibar, joins me next on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Former President Trump is looking to have his New York hush money case thrown out, hours after the U.S. Supreme Court issued its landmark ruling about presidential immunity. Trump's lawyers filed a letter with the judge looking to set aside the recent guilty verdict, saying evidence was introduced that is now protected. The letter also asks for the July 11th sentencing to be delayed. In Georgia, the Atlanta City Council is agreeing to give a large settlement to two college students. It was just over 4 years ago when the two were reportedly pulled from a car and tased during Black Lives Matter protests. They had since filed a civil lawsuit after charges were dropped against the officers involved. Atlanta's Public Safety Committee signed off on a resolution in June in support of a $2 million settlement, which the council approved yesterday. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
With Staples Hot Deals, you'll find super low prices on hundreds of items for back to school. Right now, 24-pack Crayola crayons and comp books are just 50 cents each at Staples. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program. In-store only offer NC 24, limit 20. Save big on back to school at Staples.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
NBA sources claim LeBron made a phone call to Klay Thompson to ask him to consider signing with the Lakers as a free agent. Thompson appreciated LeBron's gesture, but he chose the Dallas Mavericks, ending a spectacular 13-year career with the Golden State Warriors. 4 NBA championships, 6 NBA finals, 5 All-Star appearances, and 1 3-point shooting title during All-Star Weekend in 2016. The 34-year-old Thompson, son of Lakers radio analyst Michael Thompson, would have looked good in a Lakers uniform. Thompson signed a 3-year deal with Dallas gymnastics team. Biles qualified for her 3rd Olympics. She has a combined 7